In this video, I'm going to walk you through why selling courses is stupid and the best business model and the business type to start in 2024 to actually make money, because the digital course thing is a load of BS, and I'm going to try to not swear in this as well, and it's a lie fed you to all these big creators who are saying build digital products and all these things to make money, when in reality, how many people do you know that make money from courses? A handful. Justin Welsh, Dan Coe, these people who have millions of followers, and I'm going to explain to you why and tell you the business model that you actually want to start to make money. And so if you don't know who I am, before I get started, it's just opening up Miro. My name is Matthew Lakajev. I run a company called 7 Figure Creators, where we help LinkedIn creators make their first 6 then 7 figures. This was me in 2018, an anxious, depressed accountant that had to move home with my family. I was making $44,770 a year. I decided to be like, screw it, I'm getting out of accounting. This was me here. I then went through a journey where I worked at Zoom, the actual video conferencing company, for 3 years. I lucked out and got a job in sales there with no degree. They gave me the chance, and that's for I'll forever love Zoom. And Eric Yuan, the CEO there, absolute legend. I worked there from COVID. I got experience in sales. I fell in love with it, and I found my passion in life. And then recently I started this new business, 7 Figure Creators, in December 2022. And we finally crossed our $1 million cash collected. It took me from December 2022 till now, which was last month, so it was August 2024, so a while, even though I had tons of sales and marketing experience. And then this is me here away at a mastermind in Fiji, and every single business owner there does between $1 million and $100 million a year. So we're doing it about 1.5 now. I was the yuppie there, and so I got to go away with this absolute group of legends. We go away 4 times a year now, and I pay $54,000 a year to be part of this program. People think I'm crazy because that's a full-time salary, but you are the closest 5 people you hang around with as well. And I wanted to walk you through now the actual logic of why selling a course is dumb and you should never do it, and exactly what you should do. And I'm going to walk you through Alex Hormozi's journey of how he made his money and how he follows the exact same logic and what you should actually do to make money as well. And just to give you a quick snippet, every single person in this photo, so there's like 40 people in that photo, that's more than any of the course creators you can even think of. Let's say you got Iman Ghazi, Justin Welsh, Dan Coe, right, with millions of followers. These guys are the true weapons who have like 20,000 followers. Like one of the guys has 84,000 followers and makes $20 million a year. And they're making bank, and they don't have all these followers. And because, the one thing is they don't sell cheap courses. Period. Because they know that the money is not in cheap courses. Anyways, I'm going to just explain to you the logic now, and then I'll back it up to you with Alex Hormozi. And I'm going to talk about what you should sell when you're actually inside to actually escape your 9 to 5 or start a small business and actually build a life of freedom. So this Steve, who I work with, he pulled this up, and this is from the actual software world. So let me explain it to you as we go into it at the same time. So what this is, if you look, I don't know what the difference between X and Y axes are, so because I dropped out of school when I was 16, but whatever's on this vertical one is the average revenue per user. And on the bottom side is the customer base size, and you can replace customer base size with leads to be generated. So when you look at this graph, the easiest thing for you to sell is your full-time employment. The reason is because you only need one customer, which is your employer, and then you only need to sell yourself. And so whenever someone says, hey, I've never been in sales, I don't know what to do, you sold yourself to get your first job. So you can sell. You had to go through a process of interviewing. They had to realize that you're not absolutely incompetent. Even if you got a job at McDonald's, I worked at McDonald's when I was 17, totally sweet. Even if you got a job at McDonald's, you still have to walk in and they still have to think, that's not going to be someone who's going to mess up and spit in someone's cheeseburger, right? You still have to sell yourself, right? So the first thing that you want to sell, or the easiest thing to sell, is full-time employment. The next easiest thing to sell is freelancing. Why freelance is easier? Because a lot of freelancing is you're kind of employed, but just on a part-time-ish basis, right? Or you do project work and you're trading time for money, and you usually have less clients and you're playing on more easier mode, right? The next stage up is the thing that I'm going to tell you that you should be selling over time is productized consulting. And I'll walk you through Alex Hormozi's journey as we go through this as well. Productized consulting is what I sell, right? I sell a program, a specific program that people go through, and it's because I've done it so many times when I did it one-to-one with people, I've now productized it where I can then roll it out and people can go through and do it themselves with assistance at the same time. And that's the ultimate goal of the thing you want to get to. And every single person inside this photo does productized consulting. They make bank. And everyone always talks about what's the total addressable market, or I can't scale it, or all this bullshit. You're like, yeah, worry about that when you get to $100 million or $50 million a year. Like, I got a buddy who does $12 million a year, and he's like, he has an extremely specific niche in the Australian market. And he's like, they're only now going to the US market. So, we've kind of capped out-ish after 6 years at 12 mil. Now we're going to go to the US market. You're not going to cap out your total addressable market. And I'll explain to you why it doesn't even matter, and you can just scale past it anyway. Because the argument is always, but I can't scale it. It's like, what are you trying to scale? You don't make any money. Why are you scaling? Trade your time for money. You want experience, because the thing that matters as you go through, right, is that when you're selling freelancing, it's easier to sell because it's time for money. You just sell you. Productized consulting is a bit harder to sell because you're selling a product or consulting product, right? And it's where you can take people through a set of sequences and a set of emotions that you've done so many times that you can then help them get an end result, right? For an example, is what we help people do is, previous to this, the bit in the business, we'd help people generate 5+ warm leads a week on LinkedIn consistently for their business, right? Very specific productized thing that you actually give someone. Like, let's say landing page optimization specialist for e-commerce owners. So we've got a client in our program that does that. He'll get your landing page optimization or rate up from 1.5% to 3% by developing it. He's productized the thing, and he only works with e-commerce brands that do more than $100,000 a year, right? He's defined his niche. Then the next thing after productized consulting, the thing that needs 100 times the leads. So when I say customer base size, right? What this actually means down here, this should be, let me get to a pencil that works better than this. This should be leads. And when people are starting out, you ain't got no leads. So why are you going to build the thing that requires 100 times the leads than the other thing? 100 times the leads. And that's the problem where we run into info products, or what this is called, courses. The reason why selling courses is such a bad idea for someone starting out, because the biggest problem everyone has starting out, is their offer and their leads. It's why Alex Hormozy wrote a book, $100 million offers, then $100 million leads. But for some reason, everyone goes out there thinking, I'm gonna sell a course because that's the easy route. But you just have to find 100 times the customers and convince them to buy a course. And you have to fight against the other people who actually have legitimate personal brands and they make courses. And so that's why the idea of building a course is really bad. The next worst thing to build is a B2B SaaS, right? And you can tell this is a software thing because it goes straight to software. This is also, how do I rub this out? Let me just say bad. Whatever. Here it is. I'm not good at this Miro tool. Let's go backwards. Let's just say bad for these. It's a bad idea. Why? Because you need way more leads. The next step, we'll call this the app. Have you ever been to a barbecue at a friend's house and they're like, I'm gonna just build an app? It's like the worst thing you can build, because if you build an app, you're selling B2C. And getting someone to pay $9.99 a month on an app, they look through their receipts and like, why am I paying $9 for this app? Screw it, cancel it. And they're just gonna cancel. So you need how many more customers is that? What's 100,000 divided by 10? That's 10, you need 10,000 times the customers than if you did productized consulting. And then we get to the last one, which is like the absolute worst one, which no one should ever do, which is called a social media network. And the other thing as well, as we go through this, which this graph doesn't represent or show as well, when you try to build a social media network, you are essentially trying to compete against Facebook. And Facebook has billions of dollars and they're going to crush you. And so the other reason that's not even taken into effect of this thing here is, once you go past like B2B SaaS and down here, right, you run into venture capital land or money land. What I mean by that is, if something has scalability, so when a venture capital company or a company that helps you raise money or you borrow money, whatever it is, right? I won't go into technical terms because I don't even know if I'll do justice and tell you the right things. But when you get to something that's scalable, like software, that's when investors come in. And so I got a good buddy in the US, they just raised their second round of money and they raised $11 million. So what doesn't even get taken into effect here is, like, when you build software, you are competing against people who have raised $10 million. And so what does raising $10 million give them? it gives them leverage. They can then go out and get the best engineers that you could never get and who'll never work for you and who'll build the best software, and they're going to crush you. And it doesn't matter how good your idea is. They'll just see your idea and they'll be like, cool, I'm just going to steal that with all the other 100 ideas from these other startup people and we just smash you to pieces. And that's what Amazon do, Facebook, Google. What they do is they just go, ooh, all you little guys that raised, $10 million, I'm going to just like grab you and just snap you up. And they just do that all the time. They just acquire all these customers. They just built the shit out of them. It's why Microsoft like absolutely crushed Zoom. And I was working at Zoom is because they're just way bigger and they own a partnership network, a distribution network. So they just buy these competitors. They take what Zoom's doing, steal all the best stuff, and they just crush them. And even in the course land, right? Let's say we're going to the course land here. The reason you don't want to compete in the course land is because you're competing with people with brands. You're competing with Russell Brunson. You're competing with Dan Coe. You're competing with Justin Welsh, Iman Ghazi. The worst fucking people. Why do you want to compete with these guys? The reason they can make money from courses and they can just get like free traffic online and just make bank on autopilot and just make like, people call it like passive income, like the worst thing you ever want to make as well, is because you're competing against these guys who shit on your brand. They shit on it because they have 1 million followers. And it doesn't matter because they just need to have less people that like them. That's why productized consulting is where you want to start. And I'm going to give you the Alex Hormozi journey because you might be like, but Alex Hormozi, he did Gym Launch and he has a social media network in school. And so I'm going to show you the actual flow of what actually happened. So what you want to start is productized consulting. And to get there, you're going to start freelancing. You're going to start doing one-to-one, but the ultimate goal is to sell productized consulting, and then you can have a product like we have internally. So in a week, I do 6 hours of calls in a week. Actually, I could probably even strip it away, and I could realistically do 3 hours of calls, and then I engage in our community of what we've got, and I build modules. I probably do 10 hours of delivery a week, and we do $1.5 million a year, and I probably take about half profit, right? Like off the top, right? And this is productized consulting, but you want to build a software, and you want to compete against the best people. Most people would just be like super happy, right? And this just like grinds my gears because people come into starting the business thing, because I work with so many people doing this, and they're like, I'm gonna build software because it's scalable. I'm gonna build a course. I'm gonna build this. It's like, why are you building that? Like you can do $10 million a year, $20 million a year. Like my buddies up here who just are loving life and live a life of freedom where they can go away 4 times a year to Fiji for a week and just hang out with other people during the week while their team does everything. Why would you do that? Why would you put yourself in the position of fighting against other people? That's so hard. You're also fighting against people from Y Combinator who go to like Harvard and Stanford and shit, who like want the rep or the reputation of like building a software company. Because the other reason, which isn't even factored into here, is like when people look at productized consulting, they see it as a business, so it's like, ugh, it's icky. It's why you want to get into a job like sales, because everyone thinks it's a bad perception. And when something has like a level where it's like icky, or it's like, I don't want to do that, it means that there's less competition. And so sales is a perfect thing to get into. It's why, if you took like let's take another polar example is like law. If you become like a lawyer, right? Like the reason why law is fucking hard to get into is because it's got a reputation against it. So when heaps of people want to get into it, it fucking sucks because you're competing against the best people because they've been training their whole life to become lawyers. But that's why inherently it's bad, because if you look at demand and supply, if there's tons of supply of amazing people, then there's going to be lower demand, thus they can not pay as much money. So in my opinion, then like lawyers, realistically, what they could do is just, if they left doing high law, they could go into sales and fucking dominate everyone because everyone else doesn't have to work as hard. Anyways, that's another reason why it sucks. So you've got VC money, bigger brands. That's why you want to sit on productized consulting and you want to crush it. And I'm going to quickly wrap it up because I got to run to the gym. But let me run you through Alex Hormozi's journey and how he got to where he is. Because you may be thinking, Alex Hormozi, he owns school.com, right? The community feed thing, right? Which is probably going to be a massive $1 billion company one day. Definitely. But like, if you look at Alex Hormozi's journey, right? Where did he start? Let's say this is Hormozi, right? O-Z-I, Hormozi. He started with full-time employment. He left whatever degree he did at his thing. He became a management consultant for a few years, right? Don't know what that is. He did something in aerospace. Doesn't fucking matter. He became full-time employed, right? During his full-time employment, right? What he did is he worked at he went to the gym, and a whole bunch of people asked him, and they're like, hey, And I'm also like paraphrasing all of this stuff and summarizing it. I don't know the exact story or whatever, like perfect detail, but this is the sequence of what actually happened in the timeline. I'm not going to give the actual dates. I don't know perfectly, to be perfectly honest. I can kind of guess, but won't be relevant. So he's in full time. Then what he did is he started, he was at his gym and he worked out, and then he used to give people advice on fitness. And he says one day some lady paid him $200 and he made $200. And then what he did is he started this business where he essentially did charity. He essentially posted on Facebook and said, hey, does anyone else need personal training or coaching or whatever it was? And then for the first little bit, he didn't get them to pay him because he didn't feel like he could help them out. What he did instead is he asked them to give money to charity and helped them get results. And then what he did is he kind of freelanced and he like built these people's like nutrition plans and all that kind of stuff, right? So he did the freelancing thing. Then the next part after that, right, is he went into owning a gym. And so he owned a gym, one of the less and more scalable things after that as well. He then owned 6 gyms, right? So of actually running the business, he kind of built a productized consulting thing in a sense of like being able to scale and build out and run these gyms, right? So if we go back to, I'll show you the latter thing after as well. So then he went to 6 gyms. And then after that, because he got so good at launching and building these gyms, right, is he went out and he then, let me just pull this back. Someone told him was like, hey, you shouldn't be owning the gyms, you should be launching the gyms. So then what he did is he did, wasn't gym launch, but it was pre-gym launch where he flew around the country and he launched gyms. With him and Layla went and like launched different gyms around the country, right? And then what he did is, I'm going to put it up here, is then he hired about 8 guys to sell the sales because he productized the actual thing that he was selling, hired 8 guys and then get them sold gyms. And then after that, only after that, did he build his info product, which was Gym Launch, right? Because what he did is he took the learnings from helping people do weight loss here, owning gyms, having 6 gyms, launching other people's gyms, 8 sales guys, so he systematized the whole process, and then he built an info product off the back of that as well. And then after info product, he talks about how they launched a few businesses in there. He had another business called, I think it was Alan, which was a software company, and he openly states in many, many interviews that shouldn't have fucking done a software company at this time. If we just focused on Gym Launch, we would have 10x the business way better. Should have never done it. But he did software then. And then after that, he obviously opened up, he did the acquisition.com, which is the fund or whatever you want to call it that they have, the family, whatever. And then what he did, finally, after he built a massive brand, 2.7 million followers, fucking one of the biggest business brands ever, now he's invested into school.com, which is a social media platform. And I think he can do it. And he did it with a guy called Sam Ovens. Sam Ovens also started in a full-time job down here. Sam Ovens started here. Sam also then went and became a single person consultant. So he did kind of freelancing. He then built a productized consulting company called consulting.com, which he built to, after that, he built to $35 million a year, I think, on some of his videos. And then eventually he did school.com. So Sam already did $35 million a year. So take these people who, Sam Ovens and Alex Hormozi, take them both, and you look at their whole journey. The reason why starting software and courses and everything is a bad idea is because the way that you build this stuff, or the better way to do it if you actually want to make money instead of going out and raising a fuck tons of money, is you go through these sequences. You do the things to learn the problems to get into the pain, and then you become good at the lead gen. Because like when you're selling info products, it's way harder to sell than you doing something for someone. It's just naturally harder. So if you go back and you look at here, right, and if we scroll through, if I can fucking scroll on this. Good one, Miro. Connection restored. So if you scroll through, right, we've started, Hormozi had full-time employment. He did the freelance thing. He productized what he was doing. He went out, launched all these gyms. Then he launched a licensing model, which is more of like an info product. And then after that, he launched the B2B SaaS Alan. And then all the way down, he launched, and there's other things in between, but I'm showing you this for the principle. And then right at the end, he launched a social media product. And that's it. And so people all the time talk about doing this other stuff, but like, the problem is like to become good at this, right? Like it either requires you to raise a fuck ton of money and have a long time a long runway before you make money. You look at products like Amazon and stuff where they solve big problems. Like the bigger problem you solve, the harder it is to start. So I would rather start on easy mode. Easy mode. So that's why selling courses is stupid, in my opinion, and you shouldn't do it. The other thing to look at, the last thing before we wrap it up, is you want to look at people's what I call dollar to follower ratio, right? So I'll do the math here, and then I'm going to finish the thing, right? Where's my phone? One sec. All right, let's do this now. So then we're going to finish. So we look at someone like Justin Welsh, right, on LinkedIn, as an example. He has about 1.1 million followers on LinkedIn and Twitter. So 1.1 million he has. He makes about, I think about $2.5 million a year now, right? Say approximate, right? So I get 2.5 million and I divide it by his followers. It's $2.50. Oh, I don't know. Actually, it wasn't that. It was 2.5 million divided by $2.27 per follower per year. Right? That's what Justin Welsh makes. So me, right now, I've got 46,000 followers and we're doing 1.5 million a year. We're just getting started. Doing $32 per follower per year. And we're like, it's only been just over a year since we launched our productized consulting program, right? For example. But if I look at my buddy who does 20 million a year, who's been doing this for 4 years, he's got 85,000 followers. He makes $235 per follower per year. So he makes 235 times what someone does. So you need to do way less work to make way more money. Anyways, guys, peace out. Hope you enjoyed the vid. Give us a subscribe. Catch ya.